Hello friends! So car infotainment is getting more and more complicated as time goes on because they're packing more and more features into the systems. That's both a good thing if you know how to operate it, but it's also a bad thing if you do not. So today we're going to be taking kind of a deep dive into the BMW iDrive system. This is the latest version of iDrive 8.0, and right now we're setting in a BMW 3 Series. So like I said, we're going to dive in, take a look at this, because this is one of the most detailed infotainment systems, but it's also kind of complicated. So let's dive in. So most BMWs with iDrive 8.0, you're going to see it displayed just like this right here. This is BMW's 14.5-inch display. It kind of floats out here on the console, and it does have some different functions built into it, such as having your climate control actually on this lower bar. We might as well, I guess, kind of start with that, although it's not really infotainment. You, of course, can adjust your temperature right there. You can press that button to get to all your additional functionalities. This will vary depending on which model you have, though, of course. Now let's begin here with our home screen. So right now you'll see a kind of a splash of the main applications across the top there. We have our map. You have your little cutout for your audio that's playing at the current time, your telephone, your personal assistant, you have weather, traffic conditions, and then over here you're going to notice some additional places where you can add some widgets, and you also have your My BMW. We're going to go through some of those features individually as we go throughout the video. So first thing first, I'm going to click on our navigation system here. When you do that, you're going to pull up, of course, BMW's integrated nav. This is what that's going to look like. It's going to be nice and responsive, pretty detailed as well. We don't have any like satellite or anything like that, but like I said, pretty detailed. Over here, we're going to have some suggestions for different things that we can click on. We also have the ability to put in our destinations over here. That's going to be the most obvious place that you'll go as soon as you get into the navigation system. So for instance, if you're looking for a gas station or a charging station, if you have an EV BMW, you can press that. This is just going to go ahead and communicate with the cellular connection and give you your closest charge points. Now we can also set some recent destinations, and you can also set some customized My Destinations, which can be your home, work, or places that you frequent. Now you'll notice off to the side here, we have some shortcuts. These are always going to be kind of setting here on the left-hand side so that you have quick access to these features. Those are your main things, which is your home screen. You also have your music. So this will be all of your options for music that you can use built into the system. So you notice that we do have Spotify. This can actually be an app that you have installed into iDrive itself, and you can sign in and use it through the system, or you can of course pair your phone and use Spotify through Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, which is how we have chosen to do it. Down below, if you actually click on phone, this is going to give you your phone settings. So if you're looking right through here, you'll notice I have my phone paired. I also have Mason's phone paired, and this will just allow you to choose quickly which phone you want to do, or which phone you want to use. If you have both people inside the vehicle, you can just quickly select one or the other. Otherwise, it's going to default to whoever was the last person that got into or out of the vehicle. Now, kind of speaking of people inside of the vehicle, I think this is an important point, especially if you're sharing a car like Mason and I do. iDrive 8 does have driver profiles. So if I click our little picture right there, you'll notice I have a thumbnail that actually is me, and then Mason also has his own. And you can connect your BMW ID into the system. That way, when he gets in the car and drives it, it senses his phone and key fob is inside of the vehicle, and they're going to be his settings. And then when I drive the vehicle, it's going to be my settings. This is all going to make things very convenient if you're sharing the car with a spouse, significant other, brother, whoever it might be. Now let's kind of cycle back into the home screen here. Once again, as we're kind of going through this menu, we're back at our map. And then down there at the bottom, that's going to be Android Auto or Apple CarPlay if your vehicle or if your phone is connected to the infotainment system. iDrive 8 does support wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, so right now my phone is just kind of sitting here in the wireless phone charging pad, and it does connect very, very quickly in our experience. We do own this car, so we have been able to tell that it connects seamlessly and almost never fails to connect properly the very first time. Now, if you tap that little icon up there in the top corner, this is going to kind of take you out of the pretty BMW view and just bring you into the big old list of apps. So this is a little intimidating, but if you don't find what you're looking for kind of on that main screen, this is where it's going to be hiding more or less. So as you can see, there's a lot of stuff going on. We're just going to kind of work our way through a few of these features, but before we kind of get into that, I do want to actually talk about what my finger has accidentally highlighted, and that is the BMW Personal Assistant. This is a voice assistant that will really be helpful in your ownership of a BMW, because when you have something that you can't find, which sometimes does happen, you'll be able to talk to that assistant and it will be able to give you guidance and bring you to the proper setting that you can make changes to that. So I'll go ahead and click onto this BMW Assistant first of all. So with the BMW Assistant, you can basically make this wake up to a personal word that you want to say. The default's going to be hello BMW, but as you can see, it actually did respond to that. But you can also set it to have a personal wake word as well, so you can name it something else. We actually named this one Helga, and then we changed it to something that had more syllables, that way it wouldn't accidentally trigger. But overall, you know, this just allows you to speak to your car, like I said, and find those settings that are kind of hiding from you. So just kind of keep that in mind through the rest of this tutorial, that if there's something that's hiding from you, a good way to find it is to talk to that voice assistant. Hey BMW, change the ambient lighting to red.
Great, I will set the light color to coral.
So just as easy as that, we now have red ambient lighting inside of the cabin. Hey BMW, I'm hot.
I'm lowering the temperature, so it will be more comfortable right away. Let me know if it gets too cold for you.
So as you can see, it's kind of chit-chatting with you almost in a conversational style, but it was smart enough to know not only the fact that, or listen to the command that I said, but also that it knows the driver was the one that was making the command, and it only adjusted the driver's side down to 67 degrees from the 72 to cool me down. It's a very intelligent system overall. Okay, so let's go ahead and kind of go through some of these apps. I'm going to start by clicking on Android Auto. You probably already know how this works, but you just click on it. You're going to be able to have your applications. Like I said, it's running wirelessly. You have your navigation built in, all types of things like that. Now I'll go back to where I was. Now, if you're not paired to your vehicle with your phone, you'll probably be using a radio source. So you have FM, AM, and XM radio on board. What you'll see over here on the side is going to be a menu of all your different stations. So you don't really have to tune per se. You just scroll through right here and you can see actually the name of the radio station. You can click on it very easily. And then over here you've got some different menus. So you notice you can save it as a preset. This is where you can manually scrub through the frequencies. And if you leave it alone for just a second, what will happen is that it will actually go ahead and go to a nice pleasant screen saving mode, so that if you need the menu again later on, you just press that and that will bring you back to that main menu. Now, once again, as I change to XM, you'll see a very similar setup. Same deal. You just got those stations right through there. You can use the voice assistant if you want to get up to a really high number. I like 304, so that's obviously too far to want to scroll. And you can also save your favorites right through there. As you can see, they're loading up, and those are some of the favorites that we saved previously. Now you can remove the favorite right over there. And at any point in any of these menus related to audio, you can press that button right there. That's going to be our sound settings. This will just allow you to go ahead and make some adjustments. You have your surround sound effect and the intensity of that surround sound effect. You also have your traditional stuff you'd expect: bass, treble, and balance, fader, equalizer, and you also have some volume settings. This will kind of determine if you have speed adjusted volume, which is something I know a lot of people like. We don't really like that too much. And then you can also turn on and off the welcome sound effect, as well as the little beep that happens when you press the touch screen. Now continuing down, I'll go ahead and click into weather. Of course, most of you guys do have weather on your phone or whatever, but if you do want to check it on the car, it does have the capability of doing that. It tells you where you're at currently, percent chance of rain for all the upcoming days, and you can have that read aloud to you as well. But this right here is something I do want to talk about. This is kind of an adaptive way to engage with your vehicle. First of all, it's just cool because you can actually scroll all around your BMW 3 Series. You'll actually see various things happen. So if you put your turn signal on, you can actually see that light up on the outside. It's really a cool animation here. But what's really cool about it is that you can click this button right here called Picture Search. This will allow you to actually click on certain elements of the vehicle and bring you to those settings that you might be looking for. So say I want to make an adjustment to my windshield wipers. When I click on the windshield there, you'll see that all those things related to that, the interior, are going to be located right there. If I click on the headlights, for instance, now we've got different information about the headlights, what you should not do. You can make those adjustments through all of these different areas. Cargo area, and this is going to give you some helpful tips and different issues that you could have come across from that driver's manual. Now heading into system settings, this is something that can be very detailed if you really want to dig into this. Now the first thing on here is actually voice control. Over here you'll notice that this is where you can make adjustments to which voice assistant you're using. So you have BMW's voice assistant. This has built-in Alexa, and it also can engage with Siri or Google Assistant depending on which type of phone you have paired to the system. So you can have up to 4 assistants on this model running at once. Right now I went ahead and set this just yesterday actually to Google Assistant. That way it would activate with a long press of the voice button on the steering wheel. Of course, you have your traditional stuff like units and whatnot. We already went through some of the sound settings. The touchpad is down below on many BMW products, so you don't have to touch the screen if you don't want to, but you can disable that. Now, like I said, we are running the latest version of BMW software, but to check for an upgrade, you just go right here to Remote Software Upgrade, and this will allow it to download new software if you do have one. And then basically, as you can tell, this is more or less like a phone in the sense that there's a lot of complication and stuff. If you want to turn on Do Not Disturb so that things won't be popping up while you're driving, you can do that. You can also hide your private information if you have a passenger, and then you've got some settings including your wireless phone charging pad. That's a useful one. If you get out of the car but you left your phone in the wireless pad, the car can then tell you, hey, pick up your phone, you've left it in here. You do have some stuff related to data privacy. And then down here, reset vehicle data. That might be something to do if you have totally messed up your system settings accidentally. It happens to the best of us. Let's move on to interior lighting. Most BMWs are going to come with very advanced interior lighting. So you can turn on and off your ambient lighting. You have the choice between a lot of different colors. And by the way, this does work with the vehicle assistant. So if you tell it, hey, turn the ambient lighting to blue, turn the ambient lighting to red, it can absolutely do that. You can also change the brightness here. So some people like a subtle ambient look. We have it cranked up. We'd rather it be kind of bright and bold. And you can also turn down the brightness at nighttime. This last feature on here is called dynamic light. This just allows the ambient lighting to actually engage you depending on what's going on with the system. So one of the uses that we've noticed is the fact that it will actually pulsate red if you're getting a phone call, just something that needs to get your attention. Now as we move on over, you do have a full owner's manual. So again, this is kind of does similar things to what I've shown you in the image search. So you can go back to that page, you can go to specific topics, you can go to a quick reference guide, operating tips, or you can just do the good old-fashioned keyword search. So, you know, say you've got something very specific you want to know about. Of course, you can look it up in a book, but you know, it's 2023. You can actually come into this system here and check the interior air filters and learn all about things you need to know about that. Now, like I was mentioning, you do have built-in Amazon Alexa in here. Here's a button called Automated Habits. This just allows you to make certain things happen at certain places. Right now we don't have this on, but it is a default called Automated Window. If you came to a certain spot, it would go ahead and roll your windows down when you come into that area. Now in this 3 Series, we did also have a system called Digital Key. This actually allows you to drive the vehicle powered on with just your phone. You just have to set it up with using the key fob and then the My BMW application. If you're not using Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, you do also have a built-in messages application that you can engage with, although I imagine the vast majority of people will just be using Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Uneven road surface is a small little feature, but it actually pops up on the head-up display as you're approaching a known area that has bad road condition. It does often alert us to speed bumps ahead, so that can be very helpful. You do have the ability to connect to Wi-Fi in this system. You can connect it to your home Wi-Fi so that it can download updates and stuff while it is in your garage. If you have any type of mechanical issue, you can click Your Service Center, and that would show you where you purchased your BMW at. It'll also give you the ability to contact roadside assistance if you need to do that. So now that that's loaded up, you can see that this is the area where BMW, I guess, intends to offer you subscription services. Right now, there's nothing available for this 3 Series. We just have the traffic camera information system for $0, but you can imagine in the future there could be additional subscriptions for things that you can click on, activate it for a time, pay a subscription fee, deactivate it later on, things like that. That's not fully, you know, set up at this current time. Let's go into display settings. This one's an important one. We have a head-up display on this 330e, so you can adjust those settings right over there. This is where you can change the height, the rotation, the brightness. Even with the standard brightness setting, it's a very bright head-up display, but you can make it even brighter. And you can also control what types of information you see when you're in the head-up display. Same deal goes for the instrument cluster as well. So you can click that button right there, configure content. This will give you what types of information you want to see displayed. And then this will be for the main display itself. That shows you, of course, if you want to turn off the display, how bright you want it at night. Even though it is on the max brightness at night, that's the maximum nighttime brightness, not actually a bright setting. So you can you're still not blinded, let's just put it that way. And then you've got some additional system settings right over there. Doors and locks, this is going to vary a little bit depending on your vehicle, but you do have many different functions related to that. Whether you like all the doors to unlock when you unlock the driver's door or just the driver's door, how long you want the headlights to stay on, things like that. One of the nice features that I know a lot of people like on BMW is if you have the comfort access key, you can actually have your car unlock when you're approaching it and lock when you're walking away, so you don't even have to remember to press that sensor on the outside of the door. We have that turned off because we find it to be a little bit sensitive. There's the digital key we were talking about earlier. We also have the power tailgate. And you can go ahead and do different settings related to the tailgate as well. As a BMW, you want to drive it, so you have driving settings. This is where you're going to find your safety systems. So we have the majority of the safety systems equipped on this model. You'll see over here we can set how sensitive we want the forward collision mitigation system as well as the lane departure warning to be. Inside of the warning, you can also do steering intervention, so that will actually correct the steering. With active blind spot, that's also another feature that can actively keep you from hitting somebody in addition to just warning you that someone is in your blind spot. And then you also have warnings where it can tell you if you're speeding or whatnot. Same deal for parking. This is where you can find your parking sensors, how loud you want the volume of those parking sensors to be, and also if you want to outline obstacles as well as have dynamic parking lines to help you pull or back into parking spots, excuse me. And then lastly here, I want to talk about feedback via steering wheel. This is another safety related thing. Instead of having annoying warnings that are constantly going off in your car, this feature right here will allow you to just vibrate the steering wheel instead of having those things to get the driver's attention only, but not really notify the other people inside the vehicle. Definitely like that feature. Now, if you have an adaptive suspension, that's going to vary on the models, but if you do, you can make adjustments to that stuff right in here. And if you have a plug-in hybrid or electric BMW, this is where you'll find some charging information as well. Speaking of electric, we also have a feature called iDrive zones. This allows you to switch into electric modes in selected urban areas. So you can just, say, while I'm driving the city, stay in electric mode. When I'm outside of the city, just go ahead and go into gas mode for maximum efficiency. Exterior light settings. These are some of the things I was talking about earlier when it comes to daytime running lights, turn signal indicators. We also have welcome and goodbye lighting, and it looks like pathway lighting. So you can go in here and activate via the turn signal when the vehicle is parked, and this will keep the lights on the outside while you're trying to get inside the house or something like that. And then lastly over here we have vehicle status. This is just going to tell you if there's any type of issue going on with tire pressure monitoring, engine. We also have a button here for required service. So this will actually tell you how you're doing so far. Do you need service? Are you coming up on that service? Whatnot. In most BMWs these days you will have complimentary maintenance, and you can just click this button right here and this will go ahead and kind of connect you with your local service center. Well guys, that's where we're going to conclude this detailed tech help of the iDrive 8 system. I hope with this tutorial we kind of brought some clarity into how you use this system, because on the surface it is very complicated looking, but once you actually start to dig in and understand the menu structures, how they stack up, it is a lot easier to engage with it, as well as having that virtual assistant to really bring you to those right menus when you get confused. If you found this helpful, make sure to leave us a thumbs up and subscribe down below. We have lots of automotive content on this channel, not just related to technology, but lots of car reviews, comparisons, and even more. We'll see you next time.